Welcome to the Revo Report. We're inspiring faith with reason and reason with faith. Could a tech titan's U-turn redefine free speech in the digital age? Oh, we will find out. But before we unravel this, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and join our quest to spread the gospel and the good news of Jesus Christ. Your support could propel us to 15,000 subscribers. Well, Brett's video is popping off 5 hours in, and it's already almost at 1 million views. She's almost at 1 million subscribers, literally with one episode. And let's take a look at the comments here. That's me. Fire. Let's go. Rahim Rashid. Not only did she leave DW, but she took Good Ranchers with her. Candace Owens is here. Let's go. Already amazing. Museum Zizwati. I think that change from a fake studio room to real room in a real house is very symbolic on its own. So good to see you free and on your own. It isn't a Brett Cooper episode without the ad transitions. Glad to have you back though. You're irreplaceable, Brett. We've been waiting. Tell me why this got me more excited than any movie or TV show trailer I've seen in the past 5 years. She's back. Translation, what is this? Oh, okay. I thought there was going to be a translation. You and your show are 100% worth the time we spend watching you. So excited for it all to be back. Oh, this eats. Wow. All right. Well, let's get right into it.
Very hot take in conservative circles right now. But in light of all of this, this is why I am choosing to give Mark Zuckerberg and Meta a chance. I want to see them be better. I want to see them succeed. And I feel like we've literally been watching Mark Zuckerberg transform. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, again, like Whitney Cummings, he's grifting, he's opportunistic, he's just changing right now. Are you kidding me? Like, I have been watching Mark Zuckerberg beef himself up. He started doing martial arts and jujitsu. Like, when he started doing jujitsu, I was like, it's over for the libs. And guess what? It kind of was. Didn't he open a cattle ranch in Hawaii? He started talking about the importance of eating grass-fed beef. Like, somewhere along the line in the last few years, something clicked for him in his life and he began to change. I also personally think that his response to the Trump assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, I thought that that was very, very genuine. I didn't think that that was calculated or opportunistic at all. I think that he, like so many other Americans who had turned away from Trump, who didn't really like him, I think that they saw him in a completely different light. I mean, you watched a man who has literally faced lawfare, has faced slander and shame, has been kicked out of his circles, has lost basically his entire community, and now he is being physically attacked, he is being shot at. And you see him stand up and say, fight, 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 because he believes in this country. He doesn't have to do any of this. He could be at Mar-a-Lago golfing. It's what we always say. He doesn't have to be president. He doesn't need to be running again. He could be living a peaceful life. But he's choosing to show up against all odds because he believes in this country and he believes that it can be great. And I think, again, like a lot of Americans, that clicked for Mark Zuckerberg. And if you don't know the clip that I'm talking about, just listen to what he said immediately after the assassination attempt.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Like, I think in that moment, he developed a man crush. He was...
Yeah, I think, in all honesty, I think a lot of us did, right? And, speaking about Zuckerberg, beefing up, building muscle, that brings us to our first point. Redemption is a muscle, not a trophy. Cheap grace is grace without discipleship. Costly grace is the treasure hidden in the field. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who really was martyred resisting the Nazis, tied redemption to action. And I guess the first question that I have is going to be, are we seeing action from Zuckerberg? And I think we are. We're seeing action. We're seeing this, like what Brett is saying, this transformation into someone who's going, hey, I was bullied, and you know what? I'm not going to go down that route. Everybody goes through this maturity in life. Acts 9:15-16, Paul had a conversion, and God tells Ananias, go. This man is my chosen instrument. Remember, Paul was crucifying the Christians, right? He formerly, Saul, persecuted Christians. He was the number one enemy of the Christians. Yet, somehow, some way, God repurposed his zeal. In the same manner that a lot of us, I think in the beginning, we're thinking, who's this Trump guy? He's supposed to be a Democrat. He's supposed to be a liberal. Does he even believe in God? And then we saw this transformation happening also in Trump. And I think that suicide attempt with that pimp, that fist, pumped in the air with the American flag in the background, I think a lot of us had this moment of, wow, okay, maybe this guy's the real deal. And when you look at Saul's conversion to Paul, redemption there was a commission, not just absolution. And neuroplasticity also shows in our brain, just like what I said in the last video, that through repeated actions, through new information, our brain can actually rewire itself. And even Zuckerberg's training, his cattle ranch, eating better, policy shifts, all this all mirrors something changing in his brain, right? Habits forming, new neural pathways getting connected, being built. And really, Brett's defense aligns with restorative justice, where accountability meets opportunity. Because grace is a gift. And if grace is earned, then who qualifies? Because we all fall short. So I guess the real question is, can real people change? Can institutions change? And if people can Mark Zuckerberg change?
It's like, this is what a real man is. He's tough, he's strong, this is what I want to be. I genuinely think that it was inspiring, and the gears started turning at a much faster rate. I really think that was the push he needed to draw his line in the sand and start to unravel everything that he and Meta had been doing for so many years, had been complicit in, which is why, in my opinion, he sent that now famous letter to Jim Jordan, where he basically admitted to all the censorship and said the White House was encouraging and forcing their hands. He said that in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions. This is really important. We're going to talk about that later. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think that we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we are ready to push back if something like this happens again. And a lot of people read this letter and they said, oh, he thinks that Trump's going to get in office and that he is going to get reprimanded, that he's going to be thrown in jail. He's trying to cover his track. But that last line spoke volumes. We're ready to push back if something like this happens again. Any administration, either direction. I actually think that he was saying, Kamala, if you get elected, we're not doing this again. Because I know better now. I have more strength. I have more courage. I've seen somebody literally get shot at in the face and continue to stand up against absurdity and tyranny. And I now have the balls to stand up to you. So I think it works in both directions. And then, guys, to top all of this off, he made a video a couple months later, which I'm sure you've seen, announcing a complete overhaul of how Meta and how Facebook monitors content with a focus on free speech, which is, what it should have been the entire time. But now they're going back to their roots, is what he said. Just watch.
The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it.
He's saying this is a global trend that you are all complicit in. We're not doing this again. And now that we have Trump coming into office, it's going to be a lot easier for us to fight back against all of this. And within minutes.
And yeah, I remember seeing that video go out, and a lot of people were questioning that, right? They were posting about it, and they were questioning whether he was just getting on the bandwagon. And that really leads us into point number 2, moral courage versus political calculus. Now, courage is the first virtue because it makes all other virtues possible. So Brett here framing Zuckerberg's letter to Jim Jordan as courage, but people were questioning, is this really principle? Did he really change? Or is he being pragmatic because he thinks, oh, the other party is going to take over and I might as well join the right because it looks like the right is going to be in power and let's do this. And, I understand that skepticism and I understand that caution because for so long we saw the right getting silenced. We saw even religious speech getting silenced. And that miraculously has been uplifted. I think in partial due to what Elon Musk did when he got Twitter and turned it into X and just opened up, unbanned a lot of people, including Donald Trump, one of those. In Esther 4:14, it says this, for such a time as this. Esther, the story of Esther, if you're familiar with it, risked death to save her people. She acted despite fear. And I guess this could be a rebuke to Zuckerberg's delayed defiance, so to speak, but he is acting now. And he acted before Trump was known to be the winner and was going to be the president of the United States. Harvard's moral psychology lab finds courage often follows social proof. The shift that happened with Mark Zuckerberg post-Trump assassination attempt really mirrors this trauma versus catalyst. And the courage without cause is a PR move, right? But what about Meta's Texas move? Like Meta literally moved to Texas. We know that, California is like the left state, right? Texas is the right state. And I think we're seeing that he's not just saying things, but he's also doing things. And it's true that sometimes survival can masquerade as valor. We've seen that. But do you think Zuckerberg has really shifted? Or is it's all just an act? It's all just a political move?
Of this video dropping on social media, it was announced that they were, rolling back fact checkers. My favorite part of that video was actually when he said that he was moving the content moderation team from an office in San Francisco to Texas, was hiring all new people, which was just such a F the libs moment. Like, okay, now we're taking this away from you, San Francisco tech bros. Texas, where people are a lot more reasonable. That was just fantastic. He literally got rid of the DEI teams at Meta, removed tampons from the men's bathrooms, which was just insane that they were there in the first place. He put Dana White on the Meta board of directors, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing that he did. Because with that, he said, I'm taking this action, yes, but I'm putting somebody incredibly powerful, incredibly well-connected on this board to not only hold me accountable, but also hold the entire company accountable. And of course, I know people are already going to be commenting about this, and I'm sure you guys are concerned. But with Mark Zuckerberg's track record, obviously, we should be skeptical. Obviously, we should not jump in heart first, trusting this man implicitly. But you also shouldn't dismiss the work that he is doing that will make our lives better, that will hopefully change the course of the media landscape, much like Elon Musk and X has done. We should, in my opinion, hope for the best and hope that he is being genuine and be excited about the changes that he's making. And this man is also in an incredibly difficult situation right now. Like, everyone hates him. If you go online and you watch any videos about Mark Zuckerberg right now, you have libs screaming, losing their minds, saying we're not going to be on Meta anymore, we're getting rid of Instagram, getting rid of Facebook, literally ripping him to shreds. One of my favorite things to do over the last month has been to watch all of my lib friends on Facebook meltdown over this, so they're pissed off at him. Meanwhile, you have conservatives who think that he should be in jail, that nothing he does will ever rectify the situation that he created, that he does not deserve a second chance, that we should also leave Meta, leave Facebook. Like, he can please nobody at this moment. He is between a rock and a hard place. Like, there is no real winning for him here, because everybody's going to hate him regardless, and nobody is going to like him or trust him. So
yeah, exactly. So this is what happens when you're transitioning out, right? This is what happens when atheists become Christian, and all of a sudden their atheist circles are like, what's going on? You're crazy, you're delusional. Or when a Christian becomes atheist, and all of a sudden, all of their Christian friends are trying to convince them that the Bible is real and that Jesus is God. This happens in that transition phase, right? And my point number 3 is that free speech has a double-edged algorithm, so to speak. There's this saying, I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to death your right to say it. And Zuckerberg's free speech overhaul that's been happening really invokes this ideal, but we want to see, can the algorithm uphold it? Will people still log into Facebook, log into Instagram? And I think for the most part, people are still using these platforms. Actually, even when they were being silenced, people were still using these platforms. It's just that people knew that, hey, something is off here, right? And it's just wild how there's just been this shift, from the other side of the pendulum. Ephesians 4:15 says, speak the truth in love. Paul's plea was for unity amidst the diversity. And Meta and Zuckerberg are going to face these challenges in content moderation, because they're kind of, which way are they going? Are they going right? Are they going left? Before, everybody knew, okay, yeah, they're left, and they're censoring all this right and all this conservative post, and we have them on our side. But now that there's that shift happening, the right are skeptical and the left are now going wild. Now, the question is going to be, can truth be curated without bias? That's the difficulty, while still being able to filter out and censor in a way the fake news, right? The stuff that's actually not factually true. I feel like the reason why also a lot of people walk away from Christianity, walk away from the church, walk away from the Bible, and walk away from Jesus is because of a lot of this fake news. I walked away from Jesus at a young age because of the fake news. And we know that the algorithms amplify extremes, right? If you're left, you're going to be shown left content. If you're right, you're going to be shown right content. But even moving his moderation team to Texas, this is a geopolitical gambit. Red states controlling blue platforms. And will code, not virtue, dictate discord? But hopefully that code will be underlined with virtue, one of those virtues of freedom of speech. Now, I think the fear is that, well, this new move to the right, are we going to swing all the way to the right? And is this going to create a new kind of tyranny? And we've seen this shift of, a lot of Europe censoring because they saw the US doing it. Now, is the US going to lead the way again in freedom of speech?
He is having to do what he believes is a moral right. He is having to make the harder decision, even though it might not be the easier decision. And I will always respect somebody for attempting to do that. And I know that a lot of people believe that he should face repercussions for what he did over the last 10 years. Other people want him to apologize, which in my opinion, he did in that letter to Jim Jordan. And who knows if he will face repercussions. I don't know what Trump is going to do. It seems like they're kind of buddy-buddy considering he was sitting right behind him at the inauguration. And other people are saying, this is one of the most wealthy individuals in America who runs an incredibly powerful company. He should have just pushed back against Biden and the Biden administration. And while that is obviously, yes, true, to me, the fact that this incredibly wealthy and powerful man was afraid of our US government speaks more to their overreach and their corruption and their power than it does to his character. Because if they were willing to attack him and threaten him, imagine what they would have done to all of us. I mean, we saw what they did to people over the last 5 years. So it's understandable that he was apprehensive about not pushing back even more. And so that is why I genuinely am hoping for the best. I want him to be genuine. I want him to succeed because that will be better for all of us. And in my opinion, believing in somebody's ability to change is instrumental to the health, number one, to the health of all of us in our personal lives, but it's also instrumental to the health of the right and our movement. Because if we lose that, we become no better than the left. The left that we have all been canceled and ridiculed by. The left that we have called out for policing speech and being relentlessly tribal in the way that they eat their own and do not allow anybody to have any kind of dissenting opinion or make any kind of misstep whatsoever. The left that says you can't talk about X and you can't do Y. Is that really who we want to become? I go on social media, I go on X, and that's what I'm seeing. It's just a bunch of infighting. It's a bunch of people freaking out because people aren't perfect. Oh my God. Wow. And of course, there's a difference between that kind of toxicity and those cancellations, and simply being cautious and holding people accountable and hope.
Yes, exactly. I think she said it very well. She articulated it well. And tribalism has a viral code because tribalism can be addictive, and it's a moral addiction to, as they say, just kind of put yourself in this echo chamber. And Brett warning the right conservatives of eating their own. We know that Zuckerberg is getting eaten up on all sides, right? And his line is very blurred right now, I think, because kind of like the Apostle Paul, the early Christians didn't know, can we trust this guy? This guy's the one persecuting us. This guy's the one trying to kill everybody. And in 1 Corinthians 1:10, Paul's the one actually says, no division among you. Let no division be among you. And Paul confronts factionalism in Corinth, kind of a mirror for today's deplorables versus the resistance movement. And Paul took a lot of time to gain the trust of these people. Now, Zuckerberg, I think, will take equally amount of time, right? People are going to want to see, okay, is this for real? And I think people have the right to express themselves. And the fact that, you're on a platform like Facebook and you're able to lambast the founder, the CEO of Meta is a good thing. And I think outgroups will really naturally just unite against a common foe. In this case, Meta, right? We're not all we're not worth hundreds of billions of dollars. But this type of scorn really oftentimes masks fear or mass moral contamination. So sometimes hatred towards somebody can unite. You're the enemy of my enemy, therefore you are my friend. But is tribal unity possible without a shared enemy? And I think it is. And that leads me to point number 5, hope. Hope as a radical act. Hope is the passion for the possible. And this kind of plea that Brett is saying, can we hope for the best? Can Meta really repent? Can Silicon Valley really turn in the direction of truth, in the direction of freedom that we've been moving away from for so many years? In 2 Corinthians 5:17, it describes us as a new creation. See that God isn't just trying to make us a little bit better here and there, although he will, but he wants to make us a new creation. He didn't just come to make us good. He made us new. He rescued our old self completely, made us new. And Paul's metaphor here for spiritual rebirth can challenge, I think, Zuckerberg as well, for the rebirth that's happening within, at least morally and at least maybe politically. So the question I think everybody's thinking in their minds is, can Meta's corporate soul really be transformed? Or is this just riding the power bandwagon? And I think a lot of people's hope, including Brett, hinges on institutional metanoia, institutional repentance, so to speak, systemic repentance. Or are they just following profit? That's the real question. And we're going to find out. Can corporations really have a corporate awakening, or are they just serving mammon? Are they really wanting to serve the greater good, wanting to serve God, or is this just a PR move? This is a PR strategy. And I get it. So Brett is an optimist, but I think there's still a lot of pushback because people are really wondering, are you just still serving mammon, not God? And in a binary world of outrage, Jesus offers a third way, grace. While we were sinners, Christ died for us. You see, he transformed Saul into Paul. And perhaps he can transform tech giants into truth tellers. But that's going to be something where Zuck is going to have to see that Jesus is Lord. You and I can champion costly grace, not cancer culture. And if you're really weary of this tribal warfare that's happening, remember, Christ's kingdom transcends algorithms. Jesus disrupts the chaos and he brings peace to it. And if you receive him, that peace that surpasses all understanding, you will experience. Welcome to the Revo Report. We're inspiring faith with reason and reasoning with faith.